there, and welcome back into the podcast. It's Kari and Jenn here, and we are excited to talk about something that is sort of brand new at Cornerstone and just our heart behind it, and a little bit about who it's for and why we created it. So we, after really working with lots of women and families, we've definitely seen what works and what doesn't work. And sometimes you need a little bit of trial and error to do that, and you live and learn. And so also, of course, we're always praying about how can we serve clients better. And we really feel like the Lord has led us to this new program. And so we wanted to tell you a little bit more about it and just who it's for and our heart behind it and how we feel like the Lord is really going to move through this program and to help people. Jenn, you want to just start off with like why we created it?
Sure. Looking at the women who were coming to us, and what their needs were, where they were at as far as their nervous system, their digestion, and a lot of them not finding answers, honestly, and kind of seeing that there was a pattern to, um, you know, what people needed, really. Not that everybody's the same, or a
Yeah.
carbon copy, but that, women really just didn't know where to start. And, a lot of times they were, the tests were being treated instead of the person, which, look, I get it's easy to look at a test and say, okay, this is wrong and we need to correct this, instead of looking at the whole person, and starting with, more than just what was physically wrong. And so we really wanted to concentrate on women who were overwhelmed, and they were having anxiety, and they didn't know where to start, really. And
Yeah.
so what we have found is that the body needs a safe, clear foundation before we can go deeper. And so that's why we designed the reset, was really just to work on those foundationals for 8 weeks, so that we could have a really good foundation to do the deeper work.
Yeah. And it might sound when we're saying that like it's some kind of, you know, course or something that's like just pre-built and everybody goes through it the same way. That couldn't be further from the truth, honestly. And we'll talk a little bit more about, what those 8 weeks look like. But, when I think back and one of the things that we really just were very mindful about in the reset is that there are so many things that you could work on that may be going on in, that's influencing somebody to feel the way they're feeling and kind of impede healing. However, people are so overwhelmed with all the information, with all the possibilities of what they could be doing. And maybe they are doing all of that, or maybe they're doing none of that. But either way, their mind is filled with these things because they're likely on Instagram looking at all of these things, YouTube, Pinterest, whatever. There's just so much information out there. And so even the things that we've done in the past have introduced them to even more information. And so even though that information is really good and we actually tried to pare even that down, we realize that we have to be very strategic about what we're asking people to do, especially in those first 4 to 8 weeks, and the information that we're asking them to, whether it's read or listen to even a short video. So we were just really, really passionate about making sure that we're not part of the problem. We don't want
Yes.
to be part of the overwhelm problem. We're trying to decrease overwhelm. And so
Yes.
even down to the welcome box that we send clients that, have enrolled in the reset, it's all very, just carefully and prayerfully thought out to make sure that we are creating an environment that is not overwhelming, that really does aid in healing. So that's really one thing that's very different about this versus the things that we've done in the past, for sure.
Yeah.
Do you want to kind of
Um,
go through what's included in the reset, or what were you about to say?
yeah, no, we can do that. So, the reset, was a roadmap that we worked on to really look at rebuilding the foundations. And so those were, minerals, stress rhythms, sleep, blood sugar, and digestion. And so we really wanted to hone in kind of on those basics before we could really move on to do the deeper work. And so that 8 weeks was, designed to have weekly support, to have simple rhythms that weren't overwhelming, that they could keep up with, introducing tools not only for the body, but for the mind. Because as we know, healing isn't just physical. And so it was a really mind body approach of, okay, how can we do literally a reset? How can we hit the reset button on the body and the mind so that they are ready to heal? Because a lot of them come in and they're like, okay, I want to do a parasite cleanse or I want to do a detox. And they're not ready. They're physically and emotionally not ready. And so, what we really included was this step by step, minerals, regulating nervous system. Like it's really intentional. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, it was, as Kari said, it was really about simplifying for women because even, when we were seeing women, I feel like we overwhelmed some of them with the information. It's like you want them to have all this information and okay, this is gonna, and it was too
Yeah.
much at once. And so we really were intentional about paring it down and prioritizing.
Yeah. So sometimes, even with good intentions, we weren't helping the
Right,
problem. So,
right.
when you were talking about the things that we're focusing on, I just thought about how, some of the people that I've seen share, health information. It's like so often we go to these extremes, like nervous system is the only answer to all of your health problems, or just fix your gut and you're going to fix everything, or, only focus on blood sugar. Like those are all really great things. But what we've seen, I think I can speak for Jenn too. It's like they all work together.
Right,
You can't necessarily just pick one of those things because they work so synergistically together.
right.
And, I think it's just important to not go down rabbit holes when it comes to that and really take a well-rounded approach, but also a really pared down and foundational approach, which really is what thus the name reset, right? We're trying to hit the reset button on your body and your mind and really fill in those missing pieces so that once you do calm down the stress response and you do, remineralize the body and you start working on digesting your food better. And then of course, working on blood sugar, are you eating enough and eating often enough, etc. It really is the perfect combination to give the body what it needs to heal and start that deeper healing process. Because, 8 weeks, are you going to absolutely transform your health? Maybe, but a lot of times you do need a little bit more help past that. And so this is really the reset to then go on to deeper healing, whether it's with us or whether it's, on your own and you choose to do different things after that. Either way, it's really going to set you up well for that. And
Yeah.
go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
No, you're good. You go. Like Jenn mentioned about giving you the tools for body and mind, what about the spirit? I think, we talked a lot about that. And of course, thus our name, we really, that's our focus, right? We want to point you toward Jesus because he's the ultimate healer. But a lot of times when you try to start bringing in some of those spiritual pieces and your body and mind are just so on edge, you can't really go that deep yet. And
Not at
so I
all.
don't want you to think we just left that out. That was very intentional. And just know that you're covered in prayer by us and that, even some of the journaling tools that we encourage you to do throughout the process, depending on if you're ready or not, they really help you to start that process. But you can't just jump right into that. A lot of people can't because you have to focus on a little bit of that spiritual healing first so that you can actually have the focus and the energy to heal at those deeper levels. So I just wanted to
Did you
mention.
mean physical healing?
Yeah, did I say something different?
Yeah, you
Sorry.
said spiritual, but I
Yeah.
just want to
Well,
make sure.
well, you
Yeah,
can't
yeah.
focus on the spiritual healing sometimes
Right.
before you do the physical. That's what I meant
Physical,
to
right.
say.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that was very intentional. And so, by the end of the 8 weeks, you'll notice that your energy is coming back, that your sleep is more stable. So you're not waking up at night, or you fall asleep easier. Digestion, gas, bloating, those things start to subside. But I would say the two biggest things that you'll notice, as you work through the 8 weeks, is the energy and sleep piece.
Yeah.
Because those are the first things that the body sort of is when it starts to get out of that stress response and become revitalized, that are restored.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
And
even if you feel like you don't necessarily, maybe your energy's okay and maybe your sleep's okay. Like, I think for the deeper healing, right, we don't need to expend all the energy that we have, and really getting that deeper to those deeper levels of sleep make a huge difference. Even if you're not really having trouble falling asleep right now, or maybe you do sleep through the night, which actually very few people do, unfortunately, that we see. And I think it's a bigger problem than often we realize. Those two things are super key. And, just to mention, like, once you get more energy, we don't want you to spend it all, because right, we're trying to work on healing at a deeper level. And so that's just something that we see sometimes, right? You just get this newfound energy and you go spend it all.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to take a few minutes to just talk about how we work with people through with this 8 weeks. So obviously we've mentioned the things that we focus on. The focus comes on, we have two different calls that you get within that 8 weeks. There's an initial call that we go over we go over your intake form and ask more questions, getting a really, really good history, because that can definitely give us a ton of information to put the pieces together. We just help you to realize what we're asking you to do and focus on, to make sure you have a really good idea of the things that you do need to be just being mindful of, right? We really we know you're busy, and so we don't want to overwhelm you with all the things, but we do want you to focus on specific things. So that's all gone over in the first call. And then every week you'll get access to a new module that might be a PDF to just read through, that's going to go deeper into one thing that we're asking you to do, or it could be a short video, just giving you more information to build on this foundation of the foundations. And do you want to tell them about the second call that they'll get?
Yeah, so the second call is really a lab interpretation. So in the reset, you get a full comprehensive lab panel and an HTMA, which is a hair tissue mineral analysis. And we spend that second call really digging into what is showing up on your comprehensive lab and how it relates, to the hair tissue mineral analysis, and to your history, and, steps to really start to move you in the right direction, using that objective and then subjective information that we got from the first call.
Yeah. And, one thing to mention is that we work as a team here at Cornerstone. So not only are you getting one, you're getting four for the price of one.
Yeah.
So even outside of the calls, we are meeting every week to discuss the cases for that week. And so if we're having the call with you, then we're discussing your case. And everybody that comes to that call is bringing a different perspective and a different gifting, I would say. And so outside of the two of us, we have Marina, who is really, she's great clinically, but she's really trained more so in mindset and just really being mindful of where you're at and helping you to set goals and really just approach health in a different way, which is super key. And then we have Hannah, who is really geared toward nutrition and helping you learn more about nutrition and your minerals through the HTMA. And so she's going to be going through your food logs to help just get a good idea of where you are. And once we give you your plan, then helping you implement any changes. So she's just a really great resource for that. So, I just think about you're getting all of that value in just looking at your case from different perspectives, which is, I think, invaluable. And you're getting 4 people that are praying for you throughout the journey as well. So, yeah, this program is definitely, it's not just a program. Sometimes that sounds just like, so, I don't know, what's the word I'm looking for? Cookie cutter? Yeah, you already said that, I guess. But it's just a way that we can we can really help to hone in on the things that are going to make the biggest difference and help support you in a way that we've seen work in our own lives and with working with clients. And so we're excited to welcome people into the reset and just really help them to have the energy and the focus to do what God's called them to do, whether that's through work or, going to a job, or whether that's through their kids, being a better mom, a better wife, a better friend. It impacts all areas of your life. So we're just really, really honored to get to do this type of work. And yeah, if you have any questions about this, then you can always email us. If you'd like to have a call just to discuss if this is a good option for you, you can find that in the show notes or the description of this video, and we can have that free 15-minute call with you and just go over anything that you feel like would be helpful to decide if this is a good fit. So thanks for joining us today. We'll see you on the next episode.